Hello everyone, my name is Nashaly Morales. I am an AAC freshman majoring in psychology, and I will be reading my research essay that I submitted for my English composition class with Professor Stefan. My research essay is titled Police Brutality and Its Possible Solution. As a daughter of a police officer, I hear and see a lot of stories about how law enforcement treats citizens in a different way in each situation. This might include racial slurs, physical abuse, etc. Even though not all cops treat their people that way, a vast majority are caught performing some of these negative actions towards residents. In the 24 years that my father has been an officer, he has never witnessed a racial issue between the police force and citizens where he resides. But he does feel offended about the way police have been portrayed lately on the social media, because he takes his job very serious and does his best for his community, unlike others. Why are people in communities of color targeted by the police? The answer, in my opinion, is that police officers have a thought of being superior due to the power and force they are entitled to as officers. They think that they can harass minorities of color like people used to do back then, because most of them believe in white privilege, and in their minds, no one can be above them in any terms. In my research essay, I will demonstrate how police brutality is frequent around the world, especially in countries with histories of racist violence. How police violence causes communities of color to distrust police officers and makes them search for other options to resolve problems, which can lead to an increase in crime and violence among others, and how police are sometimes responsible for creating an unrest feeling among communities of color. The solution I will suggest for this problem we face today is not to have the police abolished or defunded. I suggest more training and professionalization within all police departments. I believe if police officers are trained better, more professional, and reminded of the consequences for their misconduct, there can be a possible solution to this issue. I will examine how a police brutality story might have reduced 9/11 calls for crime reporting in the Black community. Aren't the police supposed to make us feel safe? Aren't they supposed to prevent crime? Is law enforcement not responsible for protecting the community? My father is a police officer. To be exact, he is a sergeant now. All his life, he has responded to people asking for help to make them feel safer and at ease. Everything that he has done and contributed throughout his career has been positive and good for his community. There was a point in time, according to my father, that citizens claimed that there was prejudice against Dominicans from Puerto Ricans. This was happening particularly in the capital of Puerto Rico, San Juan. Allegedly, police officers will beat Dominicans up, pull them over for no reason, and even ask for their papers. After this occurred, the law enforcement in San Juan was reformed. A program was made to teach them that their actions were wrong, and they learned how to deal and handle situations like those better. Besides that situation, my father has not seen any racist violence from the police to residents. He stated that in Puerto Rico, everyone is diverse, and due to that, there is no sign of racism reported. Puerto Ricans come from Spaniards, Tainos, and Africans, which makes us have different tones or colors of skin. Having that knowledge, people in Puerto Rico do not face racial issues. From my father's perspective, it's all about education and the police departments. This can result in less problems among police officers and their community. In the article written by Michael Zorob, Do Police Brutality Stories Reduce 9/11 Calls? Reassessing an Important Criminological Finding, we can analyze how the Jew story could have been the reason people stopped calling the police to report crimes. The time frame for calls made to the police before and after the Jew story have been measured with tables and numbers. The author can conclude that the data made has no significant impact of the Jew story on 9/11 calls. It was shown that calls were stable after the incident occurred, which leads us to recognize that even though a police brutality story might take place anywhere, 9/11 calls remain the same most of the time. This can also be identified as another example of the police force creating an unrest feeling among communities of color. Ineffective policing can contribute to crime homicide rate because citizens try to take matter into their own hands by not seeking for the assistance needed from the law enforcement. The police are accountable for suing disturbance and distress in the Black community, most times with their racial behavior. For example, the Minneapolis Police Department created an unsettling feeling in their city by murdering a Black man with no remorse. Back on May 25th, George Floyd died due to a police officer putting a knee to his neck and did not allow for him to breathe. This caused lots of riots and more of the Black Lives Matter movement. In addition to the Floyd incident, there was another issue with the Minneapolis police force and its residents. One day, there was a young woman and her friends recording the MPD marching down the street when they got peppered with paint projectiles by the police. The video was quickly picked up by the local news. It shows a point-of-view shot of people being fired at by the Minneapolis police fleeing into a house with terror. The article written by Doyle Green, Welcome to Minneapolis, or Then Came the Last Days of May, demonstrates the anger and bother residents feel towards the police force according to their actions taken with their citizens. The events that occurred in Minneapolis with their police departments and its residents show the lack of professionalism and respect that they have towards their community. I will explain how police violence is present in South Africa and the importance of the Black Lives Matter movement, according to Anthony L. Pillay. Police brutality is prevalent in societies with a history of racism, such as the U.S., South Africa, and others. This fact helps to demonstrate how police forces have a history of controlling people based on the color of their skin. The article written by Anthony L. Pillay, Basic Rights Caught in the Web of Racism, Classism, and Police Brutality, describes the violence law enforcement showed towards residents. This shows how, like back then, people of color were punished for no reason and treated differently. The Black Lives Matter movement is not only important for the people of color to understand, but also for the rest of the people, no matter their race, gender, age, etc. This movement allows the community of color to have a voice and for the rest to show that they care and that people of dark skin color matter. Racism can be observed around us at any time. The Black Lives Matter movement can also be seen in our surroundings at given moments. It is important for people to have a voice about their cultures and others to have a safe and joyful community. I will express how defunding the police can have a negative impact not only on the law enforcement itself, but the communities as well, according to Errol G. Southers. Personally, I believe that defunding the police will not be a helpful solution for all. This can be a bad idea in many aspects, because it can bring lots of unhappy emotions and behavior for a lot of people, as we're not only destroying the police's budget, but also the beneficial programs that created others to grow. Regarding the police brutality, lots of people have suggested various solutions that may help prevent more violence between law enforcement and citizens. Some of these solutions are abolishing the police, defunding the police, more training in the workplace, etc. In the article written by Errol G. Southers, Black Ex-Cop, I understand the anger, but don't defund police. It could make things worse. He explains the reasons why defunding the police will not be so great for a variety of people. If the police get defunded, it will affect the community. Defunding the police will prohibit personal development from teens and others, among other negative outcomes. I will outline how abolishing the police can prevent violence between them and citizens, according to Miriam Kaba. In my opinion, I also believe that abolishing the police is not the greatest solution to stop the threat between them and citizens. It will only take away the people we need to feel safe and protected when facing a crime of any sort. In the article by Miriam Kaba, yes, we mean literally abolish the police. She explains how this solution will be best for everyone. She believes that the law enforcement going under a reform will not change the aspects of police brutality still happening today. I would like to disagree with her at this point, as my father has explained that the law enforcement going under a reform demonstrated much change and improvement. Even though that happened in Puerto Rico, where racism is not really seen as in the United States, I believe it can still work anywhere where the effort is put down. I think a reform can be a good possible solution if everyone keeps fighting and trying. Kaba wants the police force completely abolished. Racism is one of the reasons why she wants this to happen. This means that police officers often assault people of color and think that they are empowered because of the job they do. Miriam goes on by describing more reasons in detail on why the police should not operate anymore. She does so by using different sources in a well-written manner. Kaba believes that by abolishing the police force, people can find better safety and justice. The abolition of the law enforcement might sound helpful in a way, but it will not benefit a lot of citizens. In conclusion, I believe that police brutality can come to an end. As stated by my father previously, all it takes is more education within the police departments. This way, they are aware of what is right and wrong and what the consequences of their disrespectful behavior can be. I think defunding the police will not help, as others said. This will take programs and other benefits away from people that need them to develop better in society. Abolishing the police will also not help because then we will not have anyone to call when a crime occurs or when we need assistance with other problems that involve the law. If police officers are willing to be respectful and able to receive more education on how to handle citizens and situations, there will be less violence between the two. Working together as a community, we can provide the best and most outstanding life for all of us. Change begins with society. Thank you all very much.